Well, howdy there, Internet students. It's Mr. Hermanson again. Hey, we're still doing learning how to solve equations here, and this video I'm going to give you a couple tips on how to deal with fractions and decimals um, to make the problems easier. Okay, so we have this problem right here, has a lot of fractions in it, and if you're a typical eighth grader, you probably look at that and go, "Oh man, I'm not very good at fractions." Well, there's a couple of ways you can deal with this. One way is you could just get a common denominator first and rewrite everything with that same denominator, and a lot of the issues you're going to have would go away at that point. So you would look at the 4, the 3, and the 12, and you would find the lowest common multiple of those, which is 12. And then you would just rewrite everything using 12 as a denominator. So instead of x over 4, we would put 3x over 12, because 3/12 simplifies to 1 over 4. 2/3 is the same as 8/12. And all I did to get that is figure out what number times 3 equals 12, and then multiply 2 by that same number. And then 7/12 has already got that. Okay. Now, when you're doing your balancing, you don't have to worry so much about because you all have the same denominator. Like, we're going to have to add 8/12 here to get rid of this. And because you have a common denominator, you can just add the numerators together. 7 plus 8 is 15/12. And that got rid of that minus 8/12. Now we need to divide by 3/12, but dividing when you're dealing with fractions, you multiply by the reciprocal. 12 times 3 is 36. 3 times 12 is 36. We're now left with 1x. And whatever you do to one side, do to the other. So we're going to multiply this by 12/3. Now you might notice a 12 over 12 here, which can simplify the problem for you. I mean, if you want, you can do 15 times 12 on the top and 12 times 3 on the bottom, and then simplify it from there. But if you notice you have a common factor, you can cancel those, because that's just a multiplying by 1. And then all you have left is 15 divided by 3, which is 5. All right, that's one way you can do it. Here's my favorite way of making a fraction problem easier, because sometimes students don't catch on to this right away. But once you know you have once you have the common multiple, the lowest common denominator, you can just go ahead and multiply everything by that number. So I'm going to multiply this side by 12 and this by 12. And what happens when you do that is you end up with an equation with just whole numbers in it. So you don't have any more fractions. So when you take 7/12 times 12 on the right side here, remember that a 12 divided by 12 cancels, so you just get 7. When you multiply 12 times 1/4, remember there's a hidden 1 there, you get 3x. When you take 12 times 2/3, you get 8. And if you're wondering where that math came from, you have 12 here times 2 is 24, divided by 3 is 8. Okay, now it's a pretty simple equation. In fact, I would just backtrack at this point. I would do 7 plus 8 and divide that by 3, which is 5. All right. Go ahead and try whichever one you like. But if you're gonna, I'll just go through each of these and help you find the lowest common denominator. For 8 and 4, it's 8. Both 4 and 8 go into 8. For 8 and 6, it's 24, I believe, right? So 24 would be a good thing to use on that one. For 4, 2, and 3 is 12. You want to use 12 here. So try both methods if you like one better than the other. But like this one here, what I would do is just start by multiplying both sides by 8. and that'll completely get rid of your fractions. These 8s will cancel, and you get t there. And then you just have to do negative 3/4 times 8. Use your calculator to do that, or change it to a decimal if you want, however you want to deal with that. But basically it's negative 3 times 8 is negative 24, divided by 4 is negative 6. All right, go ahead and try the other ones. I'll show you my work, and you can see how yours compares. All right, one thing I remember from past students having issues with is when they multiply this, it has 2 terms on this side. They would only multiply the first one by 12, so check and make sure you do that. You also have to multiply the 1/2 times 12. So multiply both terms on each side by that number. All right. I'm going to give you a way you can deal with decimals also. Now, for a lot of people, decimals aren't such a big deal, but a lot of times when students leave the decimals in, they might end up with an answer that's off by a decimal just because they forgot to move the decimal or whatever. You actually can treat it kind of like they're fractions and multiply by the common denominator, which would be, so just think about this, is 55/100ths, this is 6/10ths, and this is 2 5/100ths. We heard that hundredths twice there. So if I multiply everything by 100, that's going to move the decimal over 2 places. And so I'm going to end up with an equation that has no fractions. So I'm just multiplying both sides by 100. And that's pretty easy to do. It just moves the decimal over 2 places. So 100 times 0.55 is 55. 100 times negative 0.06 is, remember that's moving over 2 places. So 1 place would be 6. 2 places would be 60. 100 times 2.05 is 205. Okay, now once we have that, I'm going to move that up to, again, all right, now I just need to finish that. I'm going to add 60 to, well, actually I need to just get rid of the x's from one side, so I'm going to subtract 55x. Remember, you still have negative 60 over here. And if I subtract 55 here, I get 150. And dividing both sides by 150, I get negative 0.4, I think. All right. So let's try those. See if you don't like that. On this one, these are all tenths: 2/10, 5/10, 6/10, 2/10. So just go ahead and multiply everything by 10 on this side and on this side. And that'll move the decimal over 1 place, and then you'll have all whole numbers. So we're going to get 22x plus 5 equals 16x plus 2. Now we can get rid of the x from one side. So we get 6x plus 5 equals 2. Subtracting 5 gives us negative 3. And then dividing by 6 gives us negative 0.5. It's a negative sign right there. All right, you try this one. Multiply both sides by 10. because these are all tenths, and then work out the problem. All right, should have got negative 1.6. If not, try and find your mistake by looking at my work. And the homework you're going to do for this lesson is these 6 problems. And then you're also going to do the maze on this page. All right, and I'll have some of those answers on the Google form also. Other than that, I'll see you next time.